What's up, guys? My name is Rome himself. I'm a competitive player, esports commentator, tournament host, and content creator for fighting games, mostly known for SNK titles. While I'm sure some of you may already know that, there's quite a bit of you that don't. And that's exactly why we're here today, because what if I told you that there was others just like me? Others just as passionate as myself, if not maybe even more passionate about SNK games. And we're going to sit down with all of them. From tournament players, to commentators, to artists, to event organizers, to lore enthusiasts, to legacy players, to unsung heroes, hell, even the people who work for SNK. All so we can get to know our fellow community members even more and find out their origin stories and put a spotlight on the amazing work that they do for the games that we all have come to love. This is 15 Minutes of Flame.
Get ready, fighters! A Rome himself production is coming your way!
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good whatever you are in this part of the world. Welcome to another episode of 15 Minutes of Flame. I am Rome himself, and today you are looking at the one and only Dandy J. This guy right here, man, fathered so many new KOF players through his legendary tutorial, through the amount of work he's been doing on Twitch and YouTube as far as breaking down the game, showing off what the characters can do, and of course we will talk about that very special series. But before we do that, Mr. Dandy J, how are you today, man? What's going on?
I'm feeling fresh, man. How are you?
Dude, I am good. I'm excited. We're 1 week out from Frosty Faustings. You know, it's been a week since the patch, so you know, I'm feeling good right now. Feeling good about my team.
Cool, that's good. I'm feeling okay. I'm 2/3 the way there.
Yeah, I feel like that was a bit of a struggle for quite a few of us, but sometimes you might have to go back to who you know. In my case, Dolores. I'm not sure if you have an old character you might want to knock back.
Oh, you're bringing her back?
I have to, man. She's good now. No excuses. No excuses.
Cool. I'm glad to hear it. Good. Yeah.
For sure. But you know, we got a lot to hear about you, man. And I just want to get started. You know, the origin story. Let me know. Tell me who is Dandy J and how he became the B.
Well, I mean, I was at a very impressionable age when Street Fighter 2 came out. Maybe dating myself a little bit here. So that was, I mean, that was basically it. I mean, Street Fighter 2 was huge. So even though, I mean, I was a kid, I was like 9, 10, something, you know, seeing that in GamePro, it pretty much, I was obsessed with it. I didn't know what was going on. Didn't know, you know, what was what, you know, being a little kid in the arcade, watching the older teenagers play the games, seeing like, you know, you know how the old GamePros, they had like the sprite readouts. It had like, you know, guy up like standing, crouching.
Yeah.
And then the jab forward, right? You know, I just thought it looked so cool. So I was hooked from like day one, and basically I was into fighting games in that way. But I played games. I kind of forgot about them as the Street Fighter 2 boom went away, the arcade boom went away, and then basically when the Dreamcast came out, I got a Dreamcast. And Third Strike came out, and it looked so cool. I remember I was like in a game. It might have been a Funko Land, actually. It was way back in the day.
Oh my God, like, Funko Land! You took it back.
They had one of the TVs that had the demos playing, right? And it was a Buki stage, the Sunset, and Chun-Li was in there. Chun-Li was new in Third Strike, and it had the amazing animation. I was like, man, that looks cool. So that kind of started me getting back into fighting games. I played with people like friends in high school. And then eventually that turned into, I got into Virtua Fighter because I was a fan of like Sega arcade games back in the day, like Virtua Fighter 2, like Daytona USA, all that stuff. Virtua Fighter 4 was coming out, and I even got a PS4 because of Virtua Fighter 4. And you'd always read in the magazines, well, Virtua Fighter's for smart people. Virtua Fighter's for the nerds. I'm like, well, I'm a nerd. That's the game I need to play. I need to play Virtua Fighter. And then we had a really tight local scene. We played other games, but that was my first like competitive fighting game, and it kind of spiraled from there.
Wow, I love that. It's like you looked at the post, the poster or whatever it was, and it was like, oh, Virtua Fighter for smart people, and you're like, yo, he's just like me for real, bro. Like,
yeah,
had to go cop the PS2. So yeah. that's pretty cool. So yeah, so you started with Street Fighter 2. You said Dreamcast came out. You got Third Strike, which at the time, maybe even still now, I think Third Strike on the Dreamcast is like the most close to arcade port, I think, of the game, right?
At the time, until the PS2 version came out, because the Dreamcast was like,
yeah.
it had input lag, and the unblockables didn't work. So Urian's unblockables and Ibuki's unblockables, if you could do them, like the left right, they didn't work. But whatever, we played on what we had. It didn't matter, you know. It looked good.
Of course, yeah. And at the time, there's no, you know, emulation is still not as what it is today. So of course you
Definitely
can't
not,
just like hop on a Fightcade
Yeah.
that doesn't exist, right? So like
It was a different time.
you gotta take what you can get and play at home. That's another funny thing, real quick, is I always liked hearing console ports like somehow just messing up a game. Like you said, it doesn't have the unblockables in the console port. Like that's funny to me because it's like I'm sure that wasn't the intention to like change that, but you know, just because of how things were from, you know, arcade to then. But yeah, so you mentioned Street Fighter, you mentioned Virtua Fighter as well. But I want to know about KOF. Did you see KOF back in the arcade days when you used to frequent?
So when I was a kid, we had a local putt-putt. They did not have KOF. This was like when I went there. It was when Mortal Kombat 2 was big. So Mortal Kombat 2. I mean, there was I was short. You couldn't even see the screen. There were so many people around it. But the other games, they had Samurai Showdown 2. I remember, and they had a couple other SNK games, but they didn't have KOF. But I was super into SNK games back in the day. And if you remember, Die Hard Game Fan magazine. I think it's Game Fan or Die Hard Game Fan, and they were all about the screenshots. They had huge, really nice captured screenshots of games, and I remember seeing, that was my first exposure to KOF, was seeing like KOF 94 in these big screenshots. And you know, KOF 94, I mean, sure, Mortal Kombat existed with like digitized graphics. This was like sprites, and they were realistic looking. Like if you remember, you know, the KOF 94 style, it had a lot more detail. Like it looked really gritty, and I was like, wow, that looks really cool. But I never saw it in motion until much later. The first time I actually played KOF was when emulators first started becoming usable, started being made around 2000. And I'm pretty sure I think it was 2000, and it was the newest KOF that you could emulate, which was KOF 99. And I played it on the Neo Rage X emulator. And that was the first KOF I played. I remember playing in like the airport stage. It's like dusk. It's like the sunset.
Yeah,
that's what I remember the most is seeing that for the first time.
Yeah, that airport stage. That's in like so many fighting games, which is pretty funny. I feel like every game almost, like Street Fighter EX has a version of that stage. Like there's quite a few. But wow, so 99 was your first KOF. So that's kind of an interesting one to jump into, right? Because that introduces the strikers, that introduces K-Dash as the new main character. It's I guess in a way that was, you know, maybe that was one of the goals of 99, right? Was to bring in new players, right? Freshen things up.
Yeah, it was definitely a change of pace. It was like they saw, you know, the Capcom tag games and stuff, and they were like, okay, we can do this in KOF. I mean, and at the time, like I said, you know, that was like my last years of being like in the dark. I don't even want to say a scrub because nobody really knew how to play that I knew, you know, maybe people on the West Coast or something playing Street Fighter, but other than that, like nobody really knew what was going on. So it was just the spectacle of it at that point. I was like, this is weird, like strikers and all this stuff. So I had no idea what was up, or really like the history of like the gameplay of KOF at that point. For
sure. So, you know, keeping it moving with the arcade, do you have any interesting arcade stories? I love hearing them. I was really young back in the arcade days, so like I didn't really frequent arcades until like later. Later in my life, but I wouldn't even really call them arcades, more like just a few places that might have a cab or two, because you know, by the time I was a teenager and able to visit this stuff, arcades were pretty much non-existent here in New York. That was so yeah. Then do you have any interesting stories? It could be funny, it could be cool, it could be maybe, you know, whatever. I don't really care. The ball's in your court.
I got a pretty good one for you. It's kind of the same thing here, because it's like the arcades were definitely booming with like I said, like the Street Fighter 2 days and stuff. But as time went on, you know, it was always about consoles, like LAN centers, game centers, eventually, you know, arcades and stuff like that. But I do have an actually in the arcade story. So this was back in the day. This was between Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. Mortal Kombat 1 was out on console. And me and my buddies play, you know, we had the Genesis version, had the blood code, knew all the fatalities, all this crap. And like kids would say, we would among all the things we would say about the game, like, man, it would, if you knock somebody in the pit, I don't know if people know Mortal Kombat, you uppercut somebody into the pit, there's a pit fatality, and they fall on some spikes and blood gushes out, And we would always say, oh man, wouldn't it be sick if there was like bodies in the pit? It's like somebody's head on a spike. Whoa, that would be so sick, right? So we were at, and this is this is the console version, like Genesis version. We were at, I think it was like a college basketball game or something, and they had a little arcade there, and they had MK1 on arcade, and we were playing, and we did, we're playing, trying to do the fatalities and seeing what they look like in arcade because the graphics were better. Do the pit fatality. Is, in case people don't know, there are bodies and body parts and stuff at the bottom of the pit in the arcade version that are not in the console version. So we saw this. And we just, we're talking like 9-10 years, like we're young. So we just freaked out. We thought that like we had like altered physical reality by speaking this into existence. This is like when we first, oh, no way, dude. Like,
yeah, that's sick, actually. Yeah, because so you played the console first and then the arcade. Yeah, because they cleaned it up on console, obviously. Yeah, that's crazy. I couldn't even imagine being 9 years old and just seeing that. Like, oh my god, this guy's like head is just, I think it was like Ed Boon there or something like that. I know it was like the workers. I think Tobias is in there as well.
They put their own faces in there. And those old guys, they think like teenagers when they make those fatalities. And it's like the same, they probably said the same thing. Hey man, there should be some bodies at the bottom of the pit. Oh yeah, that'd be cool, dude.
That'd be cool, bro.
It's literally the same shit, man. Yeah.
That's kind of an era I missed of like developers just, I don't want to say self-insert, but like they might add like themselves in the game somehow, right? Whether it's a character, maybe a cameo, What
was that? Norimaro or Noriaro, who was in Embassy 1?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that. Yeah, he was in one of them. I remember that. That's what that reminds me of, you saying that.
Yeah, the comedian. Yeah, it's Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. Yeah, the comedian dude. Yeah, but even also like not even with a fighting game, the WCW, the PS1 WCW wrestling games, I believe Nitro and Thunder, the developers made themselves like hidden characters. So like they're
that
also
reminds
in
me.
there.
Yeah, honestly, speaking of, Midway and all those guys, they did stuff like that. They would put, you remember, hell, they would put real people in like NBA Jam. I don't know how they got around copyrights, putting like Bill Clinton and people in the game.
Yo, the 90s was a pun intended radical time, man. Radical time.
Yeah, it was strange. It was a strange time.
Yep. So again, you're playing in arcades, you're learning through there, you're getting better. When does tournaments come around? Like, do you remember your very first tournament that you've ever been to, and like, how was that experience?
I do, and it was definitely an unusual one. So remember, I said the first competitive game I got into was Virtua Fighter 4. So we had a small group of people that played, people that I hung out with in high school and after that. And we all played other games, but we mostly played Virtua Fighter 4. And for whatever reason, there was a local GameStop that was running a Virtua Fighter 4 tournament. It wasn't anything official, just whoever worked at the GameStop. We didn't know them. They were like, my friend said, hey, our local GameStop's running a Virtua Fighter 4 tournament when it came out. And I'm like, awesome. Like, I had just picked it up. I was like, it was the first time I was like, I want to get good at this game. I want to like learn how to actually be good at a fighting game. And I was like, I'm in there. So it was like our crew. And it was like the overachiever, like when you have, like when you're a kid and you're just like fortunate that you just like got off on the wrong foot or on the right foot. And I won that tournament. It was like our best two players at the time. It was me and SH, who's an old school like Guilty Gear player in grand finals. This may have been both of our first tournaments.
Wow.
And I won like, I forget what I think he got a memory card and I got like a game. I think I got a copy of the game or like a store credit or something. I don't know. But that was my first term. It was like 8 people or so or whatever, just playing on pads on the little GameStop kiosk. Virtua Fighter 4 original on PS2.
Wow. And then to win the first tournament. Yeah. So you're actually the second person I've had on here who I've interviewed. The previous one was Coach Steve. And he told me as well, he won his very first tournament. So, that's cool. That's actually 3 for 3 because I technically won my first tournament too. It was a Street Fighter 4 tournament. So that's actually very interesting, and I'm happy to hear that because like it's something that you don't expect to happen. You're just like, hey, I'm gonna just sign up. I'm just I'm so passionate about this game that I want to play. And sometimes at the time you don't know what you're doing is like really strong, I guess, or like
Yeah, in your little group, yeah, like our little group, like we all knew our little cheap things we could do, you know? Yeah.
Right, but you don't know if that's like necessarily like what constitutes being a strong player in the game, right? Like, it's kind of like I think of Eddie players in Tekken, where if you're playing a casual, they're gonna just maul you with Eddie.
Mash and kick.
They're just gonna mash, and it's gonna seem like the cheapest thing ever. But you know, when you look into the actual competitive nature, it's like real Tekken players are just gonna destroy Eddie players. Like they're like, I know what you're trying to do. Like, but man, that's pretty sick. So, what about like a major? What was your first like major tournament that you've been to?
First major. So well, you know what? With Virtua Fighter 4, so I started. We started up pretty quick. So right after we started being competitive, like our group, there was a scene in New York. You might know some of these guys, like Adam Yuki, Rodnuts, Akira, and they were running. I don't know. I think it was like the fourth one they did, or they would have a New York gathering, and they also had it was a tournament called Top Gun. It was another, so they had an NYG gathering or New York gathering every year, and then they had this one called Top Gun. And so we drove to New York, and they had Kazu, who was like a Lao player who was living in New York at the time, but it was Japanese, and Ryan Hart was there.
Oh.
And this was like, I mean, this is back in the day. This is before like he probably, you know, he won stuff like Tekken 3 and stuff, but this was like before real, you know, like esports and stuff. This is like 2002, 2001. It's like forever ago. Yeah. That was my first real tournament. So it was very early. I mean, that was maybe my second tournament. Well, after that GameStop tournament, like it was driving to New York, and it was more of a gathering. It was a whole weekend, and it was relatively small group of people. It was maybe like less than 40 people probably. It was just like in a little hotel that Adam Yuki's family ran. It was a tournament like outside of New York, in a little hotel, and it was really sweet. And because it was so like close knit. I remember I had a big boy B-Day present. I used to play on American stick, like Moss stick. Took my Moss stick, and then Kazu, the Japanese player, was like, what is this monstrosity? Like, did you make this? It's like, nah, you can get these. And the one thing I'll say about that tournament, it was like opened my eyes. I remember playing Reinhardt and casuals. They had like the lunch table, like, you know, the cafeteria tables all set up in this big room to play on. And I remember he was playing on like a Virtua Fighter, like a Hori Virtua Fighter stick. This is all you could get. You couldn't get much back in the day. And he would struggle out of staggers, and he would just do the tightest, fastest circles. When he mashed out, he would shake the whole table. It was so intense. He was just playing casuals. Like, he was so into it. And I remember he roomed with us like one of the nights, and we played a set of like 60 matches. I won like one.
Oh damn!
I just obliterated. That was my first foray into like exposure to high level play. So it came really quick. It was like I learned how to play at a basic level, and okay, here's like a pro player. Here's what it's actually like. And it was like, oh, this game is 10 times faster than I thought it was.
Yeah, that I can imagine how mind blowing that was. Again, you know, playing in your circle, doing the stuff that works for you, and then playing someone like a Ryan Hart, who everyone knows by this point, you know, it's just a legend, you know, whatever he touches, very strong player, one of the OGs in the scene. Like, that's just, like, I know that had to be like, what the heck? I didn't know this could happen. I know the game could be at this pacing, like you said. Like, that's sick, though. That's when your mind gets to really learn, okay, like, now there's more steps to what I was doing or what I thought I knew. So, but man, that's so cool to hear that, you know, even back then, driving down all the way to New York to compete in an event. Like, actually, before we move on from that, how did you know about that? Because, you know, nowadays you have like, you know, social media, Discord, there's so much ways to get information out. I'm pretty sure there was forums back then, right? That's where you were alerted about that. Yeah,
it was good that you mentioned that. It was virtuafighter.com. Or also known as VFDC, which is still around today and still has a fantastic wiki. And it's funny because it ended up being a blessing that I got into Virtua Fighter, because not many games had this kind of information. They had like full frame data for Virtua Fighter 4.
Wow.
On release. Like I mean, we're talking 2000, 2001. Most people didn't know what frame data was.
For sure.
So it's like, I look at this, I'm like, oh shoot, this is how fighting games work. It's like, and all of a sudden, just like, okay, I get it now. But yeah, it was the forums on virtuafighter.com. They also had an IRC channel, if anybody remembers, internet relay chat. This is old school before Discord. But yeah, that's how they had a thread like in NYC Top Gun, and like all our buddies like, okay, let's just drive out to this thing.
Ooh, that's dedication, man. I love it. So keeping it going with the tournaments, do you have any like prominent tournament moments in your career? Maybe a player you beat that you used to struggle against, or a tournament placing, for any game that you're fond of?
I like the joke. Since that first win, it's all been downhill. But I've won a few locals and stuff like that. I'd have to say the only one that sticks out is CEO 2019 Samurai Showdown. I technically made top 8 at a major. It was the first tournament after Sam Show 2019 came out. It wasn't an official game. It had just come out, but they kind of treated it like an official game, and so it had a top 8 on stage and all that. And I managed to squeak by and make it into top 8. So I got my top 8 medal. That's my biggest achievement so far. I snuck in. I got top 8 at a major.
That's sick, dude. Yeah, it was a major. That counts. That definitely counts as a major.
Hey, I got a medal. I got a medal to prove it, so I got it.
There it is, man. Yeah, that's good. That's, a CEO, you look at the big 3, right? CEO, Combo Breaker, Evo. Getting top 8 at those, I think in any game is a strong, that shows that you're a strong player. So definitely, as they say, talk your ish, king, good stuff, man.
Get it in while I could, man. Yeah.
Hell yeah. So King of Fighters, let's talk about some KOF real quick, man. What has captivated you about that series?
Man, so it just, like I said, when I saw it in the game magazines back in the day, it was just like the sprite art was just so different from everything else. Everything else was like clean and kind of had a cartoony look, and this was like, it was like gritty, especially the old versions of KOF, or even the new, like even the later ones, like 2002 looks really gritty. That's what I noticed at first. When I played it, I was like, and this is before I like really knew how to play fighting games. I was like, man, this game feels real stiff. It's hard to control. It wasn't as smooth. It wasn't smooth like Street Fighter Alpha or something like that. It was like it was harsh. So I didn't really get into it until later. What happened was, I think the first thing that set me off is I saw an old Acho video. And I don't even know if they were on YouTube at that point. They had like a website. You had to like download it. Anyway, somebody was playing Chang in KOF 98. And this was like when I first getting the fighting games, I really liked doing cheap and easy stuff. I was a butthole. Just like, I just want to bully people. And I saw somebody pick Chang, and they picked him on point. And they would just do jump C and jump CD and do like ball spin cancel or whatever, and just put out normals, and people were just getting smacked by this stuff, just OCV'd somebody. And I was like, whoa, every hit's still like 20%. That's pretty tight. If I ever play this game, I'm picking Chang. And so that kind of stuck in my mind. That's the first like gameplay related thing that made me interested in playing the game. And then there was, and I'd try to keep this short because this could go on a tangent, but there was around 2004, 2005, there was a Korean gaming like emulator client that you could use to play emulated games online, and it had like delay netcode. It was like Street Fighter 4 quality level netcode. It was only in Korea. You had to like have, it's like Korean games. You have to like have like a Korean social security number to get in. And we snuck in. Me and some online buddies snuck in, committed some international identity fraud, and to play some video games. And so you could play different SNK games. You could play Garo, like Samurai Shodown 4, and these other games. And we noticed that KOF 98 by far was the most popular game on this thing. It was like, if you ever seen Gunbound, the user interface, like you create little rooms, it was like that. Yeah. And you could spectate and everything. You had a rotation. You had type chat. Like you can look this stuff up on YouTube. Poporo, P-O-P-O-R-U. Anyway, so we noticed that, but I never thought of like really playing it because like it didn't look as good as Garo or Last Blade or whatever. So we started playing it, and we were like, wow, this game's hard. Like this game you can't just do like random supers. These supers aren't invincible. It's like the combos are tough. So the more like the hardcore of us kind of like lean toward that game, because like this is like Neanderthal mentality. It was like, oh, you can't be scrubby in this game because it's hard or whatever. So some of us started playing that game just for that reason, and then we eventually like got better at it, and then started watching started seeing match videos. Oh, this game's pretty tight, and that's when it started. So I was like when I actually started playing KOF, it was about 2005. It was KOF 98. I was an online warrior. Played KOF 98 online on a Korean web service.
That's sick, man. That's great. That service, it kind of reminds me of X-Zone, right? You know about X-Zone, right?
Yeah.
Like just the structure of it. But obviously, I think X-Zone was, you didn't have to jump through those many hoops to to get some games.
Things are more modernized now. But yeah, it was like playing like Gunbound or something like that, or anything like that, lobby based kind of thing.
That's sick, man. Also, shout outs to 98 Chang. If y'all ever put Chang back in a modern KOF, please make him play that way, because I use him in that game.
Just make everything do double damage.
Just make everything, I just want to round start, pop, roll, max mode, and do like 50% off of like anti-air jab into like counter hit anti-air jab into like ball swing. Like just
hell yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm about to go do that later on today. I'm heading to my arcade, so
nice.
Some people there.
The classics.
So yeah, so KOF captivates you, and now I think this is where, at least for me, this is what I first find out about you, even though at the time myself, I wasn't even in the scene. But there's a thing called YouTube. You start making videos on there as early as 2007, that's like, man, that's a long time. 16 years up until this day. And, at that time, YouTube was still fairly fresh. I want to say maybe a year or two in, right? Because I think YouTube was like 2005.
I don't even know. It's weird to think of the time where YouTube didn't exist.
Yeah, I cannot imagine life without having YouTube. It's crazy how that website has a stranglehold. But yeah, so you go on YouTube, and there's two things that I know you for, and I know a lot of people know you for. Let's talk about the very first one. You are the creator of, I think, the tutorial that has gotten myself and people from my generation, whoever started, the 09ers as they call them, you created the tutorial that got us like pretty much to understand KOF, right? You have that really cool beginner's guide with Kill. I can't unsee 98 Kill because of that image. Like I see him pointing, and immediately I think of that tutorial.
Same here. And I can't shake it.
Can't shake it, man. It's in my dreams. So I want to know, man, how did that come to be? Obviously we'll talk about the legacy of it and how big it became, but like, just tell me the beginnings of like putting that together, and like, how'd you decide you wanted to make a tutorial guide?
Around that time, like the games, I was always like messing around. I was messing around with like Adobe After Effects and like video editing, because I was aware of YouTube. It was a thing at that point. And I was just thinking, the games in my wheelhouse, I think, the next time a new version of one of these games comes out, I really want to make a guide. It could have been any game. So it was like in the back of my mind, it was like Samurai Showdown, because I'd played a lot of Samurai Showdown 4 and 5. It could have been Virtua Fighter, Blast Blade, Garo, because these all games, they're not Capcom games. Back in the day, mostly everybody played Capcom games. Nobody knew a lot about these games. I was like, I'm pretty knowledgeable about these games, especially compared to most people. I think people would get a lot out of a tutorial on some of these games if a new one came out, and there'd be a big boom. So it ended up in that game, ended up being the King of Fighters 12 of all games. But that was it. It was like, okay, a new KOF's coming out. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make this video, and that's how it started.
Wow. So just on a whim of like, hey, I just want to make something for the new game to get new players in, and then you fast forward later, and I think it's the tutorial for KOF players. Yeah, man, you did a great job. It was, I really like the rock paper scissors part of it, where you broke down like, this beats this beats that, but that other thing beats this, right? Like, just kind of it generalizes things of like, okay, this is what I should look for when my opponent is jumping, or if my opponent's doing a low, or so on and so forth. But yeah, the legacy of that thing, man, like it is the definitive tutorial guide. There might be some more modern tutorials where people make one based on 15. I know I've made one just to tell people some stuff about 15. 13 that's been done, 14, so on and so forth. But I still think at the end of the day, if KOF 16 comes out tomorrow and someone says, hey, I want to get into this game, I'm gonna go right to your guide. I feel like that it does a great job of just breaking down the core fundamentals of KOF, and what you should be looking for as a player getting into the series. So kudos to you, man. Again, 16 years later, you have the tutorial out there. Folks at home, if you haven't watched it yet, if you're watching this and you're new into KOF, definitely go check it out. We'll probably have a link for it just in case. But yeah, so that's one thing. And the other thing that I know you for is it's a series of events, and it's it's quite interesting because I feel like content like this would be like right now if it came out, it would be like I think it would be super funny, and it's still funny to this day. But I think in terms of like how TikTok works and stuff.
Yeah.
I think
even Vine, Rip Vine.
Right. Yeah. Like I think you were ahead of the game as far as like that content is concerned. So the homogeneous series, man. Let's talk about this. How did this come together, and what are some of your favorite ones that you have?
This was definitely less structural than that tutorial. This just happened. I mean, me and online buddies on like IRC playing like peer-to-peer Kyera and then GGPO later on. We would just troll F around, especially, I mean, I couldn't help it. I would just troll when I played fighting games. So these clips would just happen. This is just how I played. I was a bully in the game, not in real life, So, and I just thought, I was like, man, I should upload these. Like this stuff's pretty hilarious. And then the name was like, it was literally the first thing that entered my brain. This was, you guys realize it was around the time of like, there was like internet, like non sequitur, like monkey cheese, wacky, random. So it was just like, and also you're pronouncing it a specific way. It is homogeneous. It was partially to be, to mock people who, like back in the day, remember this was like, what'd you say, 2007? I don't remember when it was. People would call stuff gay as an insult, and it was to just mock those people like, oh, you're playing so gay. And it's like, yeah, playing extremely homosexual. Check this out. This is the most homosexual strategy you've ever seen. And just that was just that it just happened. It was just time and place, I guess. And it just kept going. Yeah,
those are great though. Those clips, man. The one that I always like, I guess the funniest one to me, I could be wrong on the number. I want to say like 27. It has a 7 in it.
I wouldn't worry about. I can't remember the numbers either. I don't know.
It's the second Impact one where it's Ryu and Sean fighting on Ken's stage with the bear in the background, the hot springs, and Ryu does Shin Shoryuken. And it clips Sean from like mid-screen, just this ridiculous hitbox. But the funniest part of the video is the camera cuts back to the bear in the background. Like the bear looked at it and he's like, what the fuck? Like that, well, that's forever ingrained in my mind. Me and my friends would watch, we would just put those on loop. I'm talking about like 10 years ago, 2009, 2010, or we would just put those on loop and just be a riot, dude, just laughing at those. But I think they're all really funny. The Alex Stomp one is good, obviously. The person.
Wow, yeah, that was where it started.
That's the first one.
That was the big bully.
Just stomping. That was you doing that, right?
Yeah. Most were me. Some later ones were definitely me getting my ass beat, but the early ones were mostly me. Yeah.
Wow. So that's, again, it shows your large array of fighting games, because that's multiple games. It's not just Street Fighter. It's KOF involved. There's Marvel involved. There's a lot of games. Another one I forgot to mention, the Chin 96 one with Krauser. Oh,
that one's a classic. That might be number one.
Yeah, that one's really good. Yeah, what would be your top three?
Top three. So the first one I think of is actually a newer one. It's I think I can remember this one because it's number 100. This is the Tekken one, where Gander's rolling on the ground. Tekken's like perfect for this. Tekken, you can there's so many stupid moves. You can just troll the hell out of people, and the items, like everything. So you can just, if you play Tekken, Gander can backflip and then roll this way, roll that way, sit up and then roll again. And then all this stuff has hitboxes, and if you don't know where the hitboxes are when it happens, you don't know what to do.
GG's.
So like he's like rolling backwards, and Bruce is like running at you. You run in Tekken, and you can like run over someone on the ground, and he runs, and Gander's rolling backwards. And the run like activates but like whiffs, so he does the little run animation, and then the very last active frames of Gander just rolling, just stopping, and just nothing hits Bruce. Bruce just gets KO'd. I think that's actually my favorite, just because it's the perfect Tekken moment. Tekken's so, I mean, the bear that farts. I mean, it's just how can you not troll people in this game?
I was just saying this on stream the other day. We were watching Tekken 3 endings, and I'm like, I love that Tekken never took itself serious.
Ever.
So you're able to just get stuff like that. Yeah, like you mentioned, a bear farting,
Yeah, it's like, and then I think, okay, it has to be the Neo Geo Cup 98 boot. So by the way, boot is just French for goal. They just yell boot instead of goal in French. So we were playing. It was probably 2 a.m. or something, just playing with a buddy, and we're messing around with a dip switch. It's like, oh, you can change the language. I'll change it to French. I didn't know the voices were going to change. They changed they recorded different voices. for this thing. So put the game in French, and somebody scored a goal, and this guy's like, boo! And I'm like, so we're just like, we're like young adults. We're just like, I could not stop laughing at that.
Sometimes it's the simple things, man. Just like the humor again from that, especially from that time period. Like it's like anything like that will just kind of make you laugh.
Yeah, and I think number 3 would have the round of the top 3. It would have to be the Krauser chin and KOF 96. You can't. It's just that's perfect. That's pretty much what that whole series is about. It's just the absolute absurdity of fighting games.
Yeah, that moment definitely encapsulates all of it. And I think, like I said, I think that's content that's like far ahead of the game. I think you put that out now, and I think that'll explode. Which maybe I'm saying wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You should throw them on TikTok. But I'm not up to snuff. I don't have a TikTok. Whenever I think of TikTok, I think of like white people doing dances or whatever. Like I don't even. But apparently everybody has a TikTok now. Like no matter what, like it doesn't matter. It's like gaming or whatever. You could just have a TTikTok. Throw it on there, man. I'm starting to get hip to that too as well. Like just throw it on there, man. There's content to be made. I'm
behind the times. I'll re-release them, man. HD remasters.
So yeah, TikTok. Man, 16 years into your YouTube, like I said, you're still going strong today. You also do content on Twitch. So what are you creating now these days? What are you mostly doing?
Mostly streaming and just trying to be consistent. I would really, I made the little 2-minute nice video when KOF 15 came out. That one I was just glad to get done, because I would really like to do these bigger video projects with all the nice motion graphics and stuff like that, but it's just so time consuming, right? Mm-hmm. So right now I just want to be consistent. I try to stream every week, at least a couple times a week, usually on the weekends, and then either clips stuff from the stream that I can edit and put on YouTube, or stuff that's just like easy. I'm editing a video right now on like team composition and KOF 15. Maybe nothing super fancy, just maybe like talking over stuff, simple motion graphics, just to get the content out there, because I just found like it's hard to have time with like a regular job and then all that other kind of stuff. And then I also want to stream and not take away time from streaming. So you can do, like I said, I just do stuff on stream. So I did like the patch notes video. It's like it's super long. I just do it on the stream. I have all the footage. I chop it up, upload it. As long as the information's there, I can help people get better. Just stuff to watch and then absorb information for people. That's really all I want to do at this point. And then every once in a while, maybe work in the background on like a bigger video project that has like all the nice bells and whistles.
Gotcha. I love that you still have the mindset to continue to teach. The new players, even people who could always get a refresher course, as they say. Like I love that.
Yeah.
You have that mentality. And I was around. I did see your breaking down like the patch notes, the visualization of all the changes and stuff. But yeah, man, about KOF 15, let's talk about it, man. KOF 15's been out now almost a full year. At the time of this recording, I'm sure it'll be out for a year. But talk to me, man. What are your thoughts overall in the game? Have you been enjoying it? Stuff like that. How do you like it? How do you rank it as a KOF game?
Overall, and it's good we talk about this now if the game's been out for like a year, because the honeymoon phase, you want the see the newness wear off and how you feel about it. Mm-hmm. I think right now it's still, in terms of wanting to actually play it, it's definitely my favorite KOF. But I'm usually on the side of any qualms you might have with the game in terms of like little gameplay quirks and system mechanics and things like that. As games get more modernized, they just get more refined. Like things like the freeze frame on max mode and things like just little like quality of life changes to modern games are gonna trump any kind of like old nostalgia for me. Like I'll go back and play like 2K2 UM or 98, and these games are fantastic. But you're like, man, these motions I'm fighting the motions in KOF 98. I can't do max mode combos in 2K2. You can't, you have the cancel timing is all messed up, So just modern games in general, it's always nice to just be able to play the game. I think KOF 15 overall in terms of the system is probably up there. It's definitely my favorite KOF game to play right now. I would play it over any of the old games. And I think especially with the new patch, I'm pretty satisfied with the new patch. There's ups and there's good and bad, but overall it's definitely an improvement. Of course, it's the first new KOF that has rollback, so you can play it.
You can actually play
on the internet. Yeah, you can get games in. You can get a lot of matches in.
Yeah, I think that's really the strong point of it too, is that it's accessible, right? For a long time, the longest time to be honest, a lot of us KOF connoisseurs or players, whatever you want to call us, we've been preaching the good news about KOF, but like people not having, not having a local scene, or not having obviously the rollback, not having rollback, or having a way to really play it, it was kind of hard for people to see that. And I think with the rollback alone, I mean, the fact that it's a year into the game, it's still going pretty strong. People are still entering tournaments in good numbers. Players are getting better. I think that goes to show that them just adding rollback alone was probably the best investment.
That was the biggest thing. Yeah,
like easily, man. But yeah, you just mentioned season 2. We had the patch for a few days now, about a week and some change. You kind of mentioned it earlier in the beginning of this, but talk to me, man. Your team, are you satisfied with some of the changes? Are we gonna have a new team, maybe a new member? What's going on?
Yeah, so right now, I was before the patch, I was playing mostly, I would play Clark and Yashiro. I usually play Clark on point, Yashiro on anchor. And I was playing Yashiro before they buffed him. Just a side note. I just need, finding an anchor is always the hardest part of these new KOFs for me. Ever since 13, it's tough. And then the patch came out, and I love Ramon. Because I played Ramon in early 14 a lot before the game kind of evolved. I love the character. So they did it. They crossed the threshold. I think he's pretty good. He's still pretty gimmicky. He's not like top tier or anything, but man, he is like, you can definitely BS and run over people and gimmick people out. So I'm playing Clark and Ramon for sure. And I'm gonna go with a top tier. I might still play Yashiro. I might play B Jenny. Those are probably the two most likely choices for me for anchor. I was just like, you know what, my team's unique enough. I got the characters that I like, Clark and Ramon. Especially Ramon right now. Still, many people don't play him, and he's fun. It's like I don't need another, like, a third, like, specialist character. I can just play someone who's good and gets the job done. So I think it'll be one of those two. I was also messing around with like a Orochi Yashiro, but I'm always in a character crisis, so who knows what'll happen. But playing Clark and Ramon for sure.
Sounds good. Clark and Ramon, very grappler heavy. Well, just buttons heavy as well, because the buttons are very solid. I think Ramon's buttons, his 2C is kind of crazy.
He's being able to whiff cancel, like the little runs. So you can like feint cancel on heavies and B+. That stuff's really fun to just throw stuff out there and just be able to recover.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be good. And I'm sure you're doing it now, knowledge checking people with the character.
There's a lot of knowledge checks. Yeah, I got away with it with Clark, and it's starting all over again with Ramon because nobody plays him.
Yeah, I was just talking with someone the other day, and I was like, yeah, we're really going to have to start learning these matchups, whether it's Ramon, Luong, characters like that. Even Whip, I think. Well, I'm more familiar with Whip because we do have quite a few in New York, but just in general, I think these characters have gotten better. Even Dinosaur, they've gotten stronger. So I do think, people are gonna have to wake up, or they're gonna get swept in tournaments by like an Antonov, just doing craziness. So
yeah, you're gonna be if you never played against like Dinosaur low jab, you're in for a rude awakening.
Absolutely. So yeah, what are some of the things you'd like to see added in season 2 that wasn't added in this time? And it could be anything. Doesn't necessarily have to be character changes, but just anything else that you think could improve the game.
Well, I mean, not the nitpick. I just want improvements to lobbies. I just want a smoother lobby experience. I think everybody's said that. Like the 14 lobbies were like full fleshed out. Like you could have multiple games, different like rotation styles and stuff like that. And I think they, I'm assuming it's because they went to Unreal Engine 4 and they couldn't reuse the code from 14, and so it was based on the code from Sam's show, I think, because it's just a single person. That's all I want is really the more robust lobbies. Being able to maybe have multiple games, being able to change the settings and stuff like that. That's really where it's at. Because getting in long sets and then like having an open lobby, but you can't change it from a long set to a short set and people join. I think that's the main thing that I want right now. That's like, doable, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that's probably the best thing they can add, because if you have a full lobby, not everyone is going to want to wait their turn, even if you're doing one match in KOF could go like 4 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
So if you got a 9-player lobby, you lose your match, you got to wait at least another 30 minutes, 40 minutes when you play another one. It's going to
be a while, yeah.
Yeah, so I think just having that, the multiple different slots, so it's like if you want to wait in line, you can. If you want to go play a series with somebody else, I do think KOF 14 had like probably the best.
It was really good.
Lobby system.
It was really good.
Yeah, man, let's get into this right jinking round. So I got 4 questions for you, my guy. You know, the first thing, whatever I say, first thing that comes to your mind, you answer. You got it?
Okay.
All right, let's do it. So favorite KOF?
Favorite KOF. You know what? The first thing that comes to mind, you know, it's KOF 2000. Because it looks the best, it sounds the best, it has the coolest cast, in my opinion. All the B era, like the B-roll Nest characters like Lin and all that. I love those characters. So I think I'd have to say KOF 2000 overall.
Nice. That's a great choice. Very good KOF game. Favorite KOF character?
Oh, that's easy. Junafun, the coolest looking, coolest gameplay. Can't match him. Coolest character of all time.
Where is he, man? Why is he not?
Yeah, where is he? Where's he at? That's what I'm saying.
He hasn't been around since what? 2000 what?
Well, they put him in UN. They put him in 2002 UN, if that counts.
Yeah.
Then before that, he was in 2003.
That's his last canonical appearance, though, right?
Yeah. And that was it. Yeah.
That's 20 years ago. Come on, guys.
That's a long time, man. Yeah. Bring him back, please.
For sure. Favorite KOF song?
Oh, that's pretty. Oh, KD0084 KOF 2000. K-dash theme. K-dash team theme. Yeah.
I love it. KOF 2000 is just everyone that comes on this series and just says a KOF song from 2000. Always, man. Love it. The music is really good. And last but not least, I need you to create your ultimate KOF team, man. Give me 3 characters from any versions of KOF that you would put, you know, to make the ultimate team.
Okay. So you say so this is like gameplay.
Yeah. So tell me the character and then like the version, you know what I mean? Of that character.
All right, I'll do this by like I gotta win. Like I'm just gonna pick my stuff. Okay. Clark from 15. Clark from 15 is one of the funnest characters. I love the modern grapplers. Clark from 15 is like the most fun version of a grappler Clark like ever. Anchor, I gotta pick Mr. Karate. Like, I just need something solid and cheap. I need the basics. So I think Mr. Karate Anchor, and in the middle. Oh, I know. Oh, that's easy. Chang from KOF 2000. If I get armor mode, I got some meter. Just get if I can get 3 bars on my middle, just activate armor mode. I'm not even gonna play neutral. I'm just gonna come at you.
That's so cheap. 15 Clark. 2000 Chang with armor, and then just karates on anchor waiting.
Mr. Karate. Yeah, I'll go with that. I think that would work.
That's probably one of the cheapest teams I've heard someone say. That is crazy. I don't know who's gonna top it, but we'll get there when we get there. For now, folks, we're about to hop into these matches, so we'll see you over there. We're back, folks. Here it is, the season 2 teams for myself and Dandy J. I'm still rocking the Benny, man.
Dolores on point.
Select stage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been switching between her and Benny on point, but I like her. I like her on point. So let's see. Oh man, that team. BJ, I'm so mad they kept her strong, man.
She's so good. She got off with a slap on the wrist. Almost not even that. Like,
there's no way that she didn't bribe SNK, man. There's no way. She held him at gunpoint or something.
Pirate privilege.
Yeah.
Ready? Go!
Oops. Set up. Whoa.
Am I dead? I'm definitely dead. Yep.
I think so, yeah.
There he is.
Ready? Go!
Get him out of there.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. Oh. Whoa!
Whoa, what? That was supposed to be ground pound? Oh, nice. Ah, nice, nice. Up. Love the commitment.
Okay.
I respect it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Killer one is ground, not the Oh my god, that was dirty.
Gimmicks.
Oh, very good challenge.
Oh damn it. Ooh.
Oh my god. I don't know why I thought that was gonna like cross me up or something.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, I was looking for the overhead. I was like, it's gonna DP.
Oh, why'd you block that? Whoa, how'd
you block that?
I did not block that. Ow, ow. I'm sending it. Oh, it didn't go through.
What a confirm.
That's tough. I'm rock.
No mercy.
Uh-oh.
Oh my god. Nice.
Oh. And the last moment stand jab is too late.
Oh, that was so good.
Oh god.
Ready? Go!
Oh, stayed in front. Nice.
残念逃がさない逃がさないこっちせいぬ
Oh shoot.
と逃がさない追い込む
Oh crap.
起きろこれ悪意しまれこいつはどうだ
That's gonna leave him on.
Oh shit. Oh no, too far.
Oh, fuck, where's my knees? Nice.
Oh, you're not dead. Oh, right, CD nerf. CD damage nerf. I was like, why did you die? Uh-oh.
You're probably still alive.
All I had to do was wait.
Yeah, just wait a slight bit.
Pink bar's running out.
Oh no, you're dead. Yeah, GG.
I died in the explosion.
Yeah. GG's, man. That was fun.
Yeah, GG's. Hell yeah, man.
All right, man. GG's. That was quite a good set right there. Bijane as strong as ever. Yeah, man. You are as strong as ever. Looking good heading into Frosty. So, folks at home, definitely be on the lookout for Dandy J's run. But yeah, Dandy J, where can the folks at home find you?
You can, so I stream usually every weekend on Twitch, twitch.tv/DandyJ, all one word, DANDYJ. You can find me, if you want to follow me on Twitter, warning, but you can follow me if you want, at DandyJ, there's underscores, so DANDY_J. And then I got a couple YouTube channels, so my main one is, you can search it, you can just search Dandy J or Dandy DLC. You'll see a green, a lovely green field with the words BU, the letters BUT for boot in the icon. I also have a clips channel. You can just link it. You can just find it on there. It's EX Minster Dandy J. I got a little clips channel going too, but that's where you can find me.
All right, there it is, man. It's been a pleasure talking to you, getting to know more about who you are and how you've become the beast. So thank you, Dandy. I really appreciate you being a part of this.
Yeah, thank you. It was a blast, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. But folks, we're gonna get out of here. Y'all have a good day, good night, or good afternoon, wherever you may be in this world. I'm Rome himself, and this has been yet another episode of 15 Minutes of Flame. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.
That's all for now, fighters. But if you've enjoyed what you've seen, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to follow Rome's social media pages down below. Take care, see you next time, and most importantly, thank you for watching.